Hi, it's Dawn. I'm back working in my sketchbook and my 9x12. It's a book I made a long time ago. It's made with Strathmore Series 4 paper, so it holds up pretty well to water. But mostly I just play with patterns and different things in this book, just to give myself some opportunities to try out things and to see if I like color combinations or just whatever. I just play. So today I'm drawing some vertical lines and some horizontal lines and a couple little diagonal lines, and then I kind of knocked them back a little bit so they might be hard to see. But I just thought I would I'm kind of feeling pink and purples and reds today. I don't know if I can tell you why that is, but I also mixed up I took a bunch of the reds and made like a mother red, and then I've got a little bit of Payne's gray in here too. And I'm just also at the same time trying to not use up, that's like not the right word, but I'm just trying to I've got a bunch of palettes going on, and this is just a fraction of them, and so I feel like at some point I just need to consolidate. Maybe that's the word I'm looking for. So this feels very burnt red, and I kind of want to go for something bright and light, so I'm not sure if that red's going to be a mother for me, or, and right now that is not light and bright, that is dark and fall looking. Oh well, I'm just gonna paint. The lines are just to help me stay from drifting, I guess is the right word. Not stay, but just to, I tend to drift, list, meander. It's kind of like lines on a piece of paper when you're writing out something. I do like the times when I can freestyle it too. I'm not cleaning my brush in between colors, obviously. I do have some water sitting here. think I'll bring the camera down just a little bit closer. I think that'll be better. One of the things I did just now is like there's a whole bunch of water and pigment kind of pooled up here. So I'm taking my brush and I'm just grabbing that pigment. And maybe a little other pigment over here. Just kind of spreading it out a little bit. There's some opera pinks in here. There's some Quin magentas. There's cad red, pyro red. There's just a whole lot of reds and pinks. I think I even got a shell pink by Holbein up there. I keep hitting the camera with my brush, so I apologize. And this isn't meant to be geometric, but at the same time, it's just meant to be creating the same size shape, the same height of a shape, and then lines in between them to have like a puzzle, like mosaic. I've always been fascinated by mosaics. Still am. It hasn't changed. Maybe one day I'll get into working with glass, but it's a texture thing for me. The cracking and the breaking of the glass, it just makes my teeth sit on edge. So I don't know if I ever would be able to actually do that. The physical mosaics, even though I'm fascinated by it, and I love seeing mosaic floors, and I've seen some really I got lucky enough to see one when I was in Cologne, Germany a few years back. They had, right next to their big cathedral, they had just, during a building renovation in the building adjacent to the cathedral, they had uncovered a Roman mosaic floor that dated back, I don't even remember now how far back that thing dated, but they had to stop their renovation. But it was so far under the other layers of the, street level, if you will, because of, it's 2,000 years old or whatever, and they were in the midst of a conservation effort to restore that mosaic and uncover it. It was an archaeological site at that point and a restoration site, and I thought, wow, what a fascinating, I've always been fascinated by mosaic floors and how they're put together, or mosaic pieces I should say. So this kind of is my watercolor mosaic, or ode to a mosaic. Because as I said, I'm just not sure I could ever work with glass in that way. I've done a little bit of glass work, and I didn't dislike it, but it does have a cringe factor to it for me that I can't quite get past, where the scoring and the cracking of the glass and the chunking of the glass with those nippers and stuff, that's tough for me. Super tough. I don't want it to be, but it seems to be. So I've got some violets and some other purples that I'm using when these reds get too muddy. Like right now, I just grabbed a little bit of a violet, a pale violet, or a washed out violet, I should say. And that will bring these reds back to a more blue leaning. As you can see, I'm just going to work my way across the page. So exciting. It is for me. I love seeing a page fill in like this. I can sit and work on this and listen to a podcast or another YouTuber or my favorite movie or music or whatever, but I have to be careful what I have on because YouTube gets upset if it hears stuff in the background, so I'm not doing that today. That's not a criticism of YouTube, it's just a reality of copyright issues, and respect the rules. I try to. That was a little bit of Payne's gray. That'll dull that red out a little bit more. The key to this, I should have mentioned it a minute ago, is I'm using a super tiny or super small tip. It's called a round brush. And if you're new to watercolor, that is perhaps your single, other than your paper selection, that is probably your single best way to ensure a good result is your brush. Now this is not an expensive brush. Sorry, this one is an expensive brush, but there are plenty of inexpensive brushes that you can get at your craft stores. My personal favorites actually come from Hobby Lobby. This brush I'm using is not from Hobby Lobby, but here's a good example of one. It's by Master's Touch. This is a number 10, but you don't need it this big. You could even use something a lot smaller, and like a size 4 or a size 6 or a size 8. Like this. This is a size 5. The number is just the bigger the number, the bigger the brush. But the point there is what you're looking for. Anyway, this particular one is a size 10. It's by Escoda, and it is a synthetic squirrel. It's called Versatile, is the brand name of the, or the product name of this particular brush. But your brush is your biggest ally in these types of exercises. That and your paper. If there's two things you're going to spend some money on, and you don't have to buy the 100% cotton, you can buy this Strathmore 4 series, and it is pretty darn good. I know some people have really good luck with Canson watercolor paper, and I don't have as much experience with that to be able to say. I also have a fair amount of experience with some of the really inexpensive paper from like 5 and Below, and it is absolutely fine for a project like this. If you're going to do a glazing project where you go over and over and over the paper, it will pill like crazy. So if you're doing a single layer, you can use anything almost. I'm going to clean this line up, and I already have a new pigment on my brush, so it is going to give us a little bit of a, but I'm going to clean that line up just a little, but that's okay. But these kind of mosaic tile exercises are really good for learning your water control and your brush control, which I still struggle with. It's one of those things I'm still working on to get good coverage, not too much water, not too much pigment, and to keep my lines crisp. And this is one of those like meditative exercises that I find very therapeutic. Helps quiet the mind, if that's something that you are working towards, struggle with. And maybe you only do 5 minutes a day. You don't have to finish this project in one go. See, I'm finding this color to be too similar to that color. So I just grabbed a little bit of cad red, you know, a brighter tomato red that's sitting right in front of me. And now I'm gonna, before it has a chance to dry, I'm going to change the color, change the temperature. If you don't like what's being said, change the conversation. If you don't like the color, change the temperature. It went from a cool pink to a warm red. Okay. That's row 1. And I gave myself some borders. You could probably see the harder pencil lines there. But that helps me. And just guidelines. And now I'm going to leave a gap between row 1 and row 2 to continue that white line mosaic kind of expressiveness. I'm going to pick up some more pigments. And I'm going to go right here. And I don't know the shape before I started. I don't like to. I tend to just go intuitively when I start to paint. And if I have too much pigment, like it feels like I do now, I use that opportunity to just continue to shape out. Now, I've kind of turned into a trimming your bangs situation when you're 6, where I keep going and I don't know where to stop. So I need to draw a hard line here, and I'm putting my brush straight up and down so I get almost like a pencil tip or pen tip kind of action with that brush, and then I can make that stop there. Excuse me. And when I'm grabbing these pigments, you'll see I'm not dipping it into the puddle, the pigment. I'm grabbing the water that's kind of sitting on top, and then I'm grabbing these little dried bits that are up here at the top, because you just don't need as much as you think you do. This stuff, like a little goes a long way. Stuff's like horseradish or wasabi. You only need a dip. But if your style, the thing that makes you happy is the bright, super bright, which sometimes that is what makes me happy, then go straight in. I mean, for heaven's sakes. Whoopsie. Look at this. I mean, talk about highly pigmented and super bright. Sometimes that does make me happy, but today, I'm feeling muted today. Very muted. grabbed a little bit of purple. I was just feeling too samey going across here. Still feeling very samey. Alright, let's see if I can really... Now I'm going to grab a really darker violet and see if I can... Because it's still wet, I can go back with the tiniest amount of pigment and add on my brush. And add it and change that temperature a little bit. And every once in a while when I do a mosaic like this, so I'm painting it, I want to throw in a pretty vivid color. In this case, like an opera pink or a Quin magenta. I may grab a little opera. No, this and that. I'm going to go over here and grab some opera. There it is. There she is. She is a diva. She is beautiful. I don't want a steady diet of her, but she is something. I'd always avoided opera pink because it's just not my it's just not my aesthetic. It doesn't make me happy. And then I found that another creator, this is years ago, who was putting opera, this was acrylics, but who was mixing opera in with his acrylics. I remember now, Bob Burridge. And he was like using it to make a red more like sun was coming through it. The opera pink added to the red made it look like the sun was coming through the backside of it. It made it glow. And I thought, okay, I'm convinced. Same thing with purple. Purple makes it look like shadows falling across something. And I've never had purple and, I've never had these colors very deep in my palette. I didn't have a lot of those because I was like, I'm not a purple person. I'm not a hot pink person. And then I discovered their powers to illuminate or shadow. And I became a convert. I'm going to have to tilt now. Sorry. Now I'm a huge fan of both. This is opera pink with a little bit of Quin violet added to it, and I mean the smallest amount of Quin violet. And yet what a fun color that makes, right? Anyway, don't be afraid of colors, my only thing I'm trying to say right now. And this is a great way to experiment and get familiar with your palette or with your colors or how they work together, is by doing a little mosaic or anything really. Paint swirls, paint leaves. I'm just not a botanical person. And man, you get on YouTube and any of the social medias and everybody loves painting flowers, and that's, oops, that's also camera, so I'm sorry. That's just not my scene. I don't like it. I don't love it. It's fine. Just I'm not a botanical person. I'm more geometric and geometric, I guess, because tiles are geometric, right? Circles like this one over here are geometric. Oh, this is that shell pink, which is really opaque that I picked up. But there was some other colors in the well with it. I think opera's in the same well. I like stripes. Stripes is one of my favorite things to paint. Oh, I haven't really touched this little palette over here yet. Let's grab some of these. And these could easily be circles or less geometric shapes. It could be rounder. It could be like I said, vines or swirls, flourishes. Really no rules when you do stuff like this. Just whatever. It's your world. Paint what you like. I think what I like about this is that there's some structure. You know, the lines, the shapes have some structure to them. And yet the watercolor lends a little bit of, what are you going to get? I don't know, to it. Oh, that's very orange. Let's dull that down a little bit. Nope, let's get a little more. Wow, how did I get so much orange in that? Sometimes happy accidents happen when you grab a color and you think, oh, it's not what I wanted. There's no testing of the colors ahead of time, by the way. I'm just grabbing color off these palettes that have a little bit of schmutz here and there, and we're going for it. I'm trying to get my corners to be not rounded, to be kind of sharp. So I'm taking my time to do that. And if your hand gets tired or your eyes start to cross, go find something else to do. Come back. I oftentimes use these as a warm-up to what, kind of a warm-up for the day. Start it with my cup of coffee and get the creative juices flowing, because when I do that, I don't know, it's a kind of meditative way to start my day, and at the same time play around with some color. It might springboard me. You never know what's gonna just absolutely take you to your next project or your next idea. I was sitting at dinner last night with my husband, and he was talking about something unrelated. He's talking about camera gear, and there's nothing wrong with talking about camera gear, but all of a sudden he said something in such a way that I had an idea that came to my mind. I was like, that. I had to stop him so I could write it down, because all of a sudden, I guess a puzzle in my head that I've been working on clicked. Something he said made me think of something else, which made me think of something else, and I'll be working on that today. But the point I was trying to make very long-windedly is when you sit down and you just start doing something like this, which doesn't have a purpose, it doesn't have a beginning, well, it has a beginning and an end, but not really. You'd be surprised what ideas you can work out in your head, or what springboarded ideas you come up with. And before you know it, you're off on a new project that you hadn't even thought was mature yet, right? At least that's how I see it. But anyway. Okay, 2 rows. Looking good. Oh. Yeah, I'm liking it. I'm liking it a lot. I'm liking this color palette, the pinks and the dusty roses, and it's all coming from these super bright colors. These super bright, you know, hot pink and bright reds, but I'm mixing it with a little bit of Payne's Gray and a little bit of this, all the reds muddled together into a mother, and yeah, it's coming along nicely.